tell us your name and what film are you representing today?
My name is Ramiro Leal.
I'm Christopher Matthew Spencer. I'm the director of The Red Market and the writer. Ramiro is our producer, and he also stars in the film as well as Dr. Aries.
Terrific, terrific. Can you tell us a little bit about your film and what was the inspiration behind it, and how did you get involved in it?
Absolutely. So we had a great script from CMS here, and it was really a psychological thriller to make people think about this dystopian world that these characters live in, right? We were very fortunate to meet through our actor studio, which we met a lot of great people, a lot of great actors, a lot of great talent.
Which studio was that?
Brian Cutter Actor Studio.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Where is that?
That is in Burbank.
Burbank.
Correct. Yes.
Nice. So you are both actual actors too, studied acting.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, what was the inspiration for you behind this film?
So when I wrote The Red Market, it was originally just written for a scene for class. So we were inspired by our instructor, Brian Cutler, to develop material for the actors to act out, and we act them out in class. And so we had our actress, Meg Reynolds, is one of the actresses in the class, and she acted out with the gentleman you see in the film. Evan Jakelski and Meg did this together. And the scene was just two people. And when they did the scene together, it received so much attention. Everybody was like, wow, this is great, and this is so exciting, and why don't you do more with it? And I'm like, well, maybe we should do more with it. So we expanded the little universe to all these other characters, and we decided to cast those actors in the short, and we added Dr. Aries, we added some other side characters as well, and we had one person who wasn't available, so we brought two of the people that were in our orbit to come and play two different actors to replace the one actor, which was the alpha and beta male characters, was actually just written as one personal helper for the main actress Olivia Pruitt. And so the inspiration was I wanted great material for the class, and everyone liked it, and it's kind of trial and error. I've written so many scenes for class. We don't know what's going to hit. We don't know if people are going to like it. We don't know if it's even going to be funny or interesting or scary. Or we don't know. So it's kind of a sort of a magical moment when you write something and somebody likes it, and that's how it ended up having a short.
That's really interesting that your acting teacher actually encourages you to write. Right? Like, that's interesting. That's, usually acting teachers, that's not something you see in an acting class. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, so have you written as well yourself too?
I have written a couple of pieces myself, yes. I think the most important part is being able to empower someone, empower an actor to write their own work, produce their own work, create their own work, and then be in their own work, right? Because that way, if you are able to understand it from a writer perspective, from a director perspective, then when you are the actor in front of the camera, you can understand better what is happening around you and how to adapt to that environment to really produce a quality work. Right?
Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that too?
I would like to talk about Ramiro, because when not all directors give credit to everyone, right? And so this was actually a pretty extraordinary project, because we had the good fortune to have lots of very experienced people involved, not just experienced actors who are so key to the story unfolding in front of the camera. But Ramiro has 27 projects under his belt, and many of them are as producer, as well as having done national commercials, having starred in films. And he came in as our producer, and I was like, you're on the set, let's write something. So I literally, the night before we were supposed to be on the set, I wrote his part into the film, and he's riveting. I mean, he's the riveting Dr. Aries. We got a scary moment out of Dr. Aries. It scared the Jesus out of me, okay? And so, I was fortunate to have that. And then also the Dodge College students.
Tell me a little bit about that.
In university. Well, actually acted in a feature called Malum. It was in the theaters. It was in 300 theaters. And I co-starred in that movie with Jessica Sula. She's doing a movie called Michael. She plays Michael's sister, LaToya. And she was the star of this film, and I was a co-star in the film. And I met Skylar Poyley. She was the daughter of the producer. Wow. And unfortunately, her father passed for unknown illness. I don't know what the illness was, but he passed. And it crushed her. But she invited me she invited me to be in one of her films, and she was at the Dodge College School over at Chapman University. She is. She's current. I think she's 26. Class of 26. So Skylar invited me. We had Xiao Yang was the cinematographer on that. I was nominated for Best Use of Prop because I was the crazy fan, and I used paint to draw a heart. No, I just had the paint, and I said, oh, let's put a heart. I love her, so I'm going to put a heart. So I was naked from the waist up, and I did the heart. And so we got nominated. It was 48-hour film project.
Oh, God. Oh,
And it was one of those stress moments.
Oh, God.
And so Skylar said, hey, you did great, thank you. Shail was the cinematographer. He's a student there. And he said, well, I've got this Sony Venice camera. I'm like, you have a Sony Venice camera? What, do you got that in your bedroom? Who has a Sony Venice camera? So usually you rent them, right? I think the college has one.
Sure.
And he said, well, why don't we just bring it out? We'll just bring out the camera, we'll do this thing. I'm like, okay. It was like doing a Hollywood production. It was literally at the level of a Hollywood film. I've been on sets.
That's so nice.
They did such a great job. They brought a grip package. They brought a crew. They really it was literally, they dropped it in for us. Like, we didn't have to think about it. I don't think
Yeah.
that for granted.
No, I love something you said too, is like, for sure nothing's going to ever happen if you don't ask or if you don't step out. And so I love that. And for me, every film I've worked on, they're like house of cards, right? Like a little wind and that whole project is wiped, right? And so to me, every project is a miracle that it got made and then got finished. Tell me a little bit about some of the challenges you face pre-production, post-production. You just wrote this as a scene, and next thing you know, you're like, okay, now I'm over my head, right? Like, yeah. Tell us a little bit about, for both of you. I'd love to hear both your perspectives.
Well, let's go with
Of course.
you first.
I would say, I think one of the, we already talked about the challenges within having short filming days, right? But in the pre-production process, we saw the vision getting ahead of ourselves, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we were almost chasing the train because we wanted to be on that train, right? And it was always amazing how we would chase it and get on it. And it's like, and then it got bigger. And it's like, we can still do that. And it got bigger and more locations and another day and more cast. We always fulfilled that expectation. And that was beautiful, right? To be able to have a group that just was up for the task.
Yeah, that's terrific.
So my biggest challenge was airplanes, we had, but you see, the thing about the young people is they're like, just calm down. I felt like they were like thinking, shut up, we got this. So they're like, it's okay, we could probably make it work. I was like, this is not gonna work. This airplane is not coming out of this audio. And then somehow, by magic of AI, I guess, I don't know how they do it, but the sound comes out of it. You are able to get rid of those background noises, whereas I assume from being older, because I'm older, that you are stuck with what you get from production sound, and that we would be doing ADR, and we'd be just doing ADR. We did not have, we did a little bit of ADR, and the ADR was actually for the interior stuff. We just didn't catch the sound right. And it wasn't the exterior stuff where we actually got all the sound right. So they were the sound remixer, not the production mixer.
Was that a Dodge student too?
No, interestingly, the sound remixer is a Bollywood guy.
How did you find
I
some of these people?
literally went on Fiverr. This is not a joke. I literally went on Fiverr for sound remixer. So the production sound guy was a referral. So he was somebody that was referred by another sound person. And then the remixer was just a Fiverr hire, and he was very reasonable. The pricing was very reasonable. But you go through, it's like anything else. You get a lot of people applying. It's just like advertising, like anything else. And you get a lot of people applying, but you have to kind of sort through who's really good. And so he had a very good IMDb. His credits were solid. He had been doing work on Bollywood films. I can't tell you his resume. They're great. They are great, Sebastian. They are so great. I can't tell you which films were famous because I'm not a Bollywood fan. I don't watch them.
A bunch of them too, and they're just production, everything. It's outstanding. Like they go so well. Okay, how about this though? You guys, I love the story of this, right? It just came from a scene in acting class, and like that's incredible. What did you learn from this project that you think you'll take with you to every other project. Was there anything that stood out or that really?
I think, well, I think the thing that we get to take with us, whatever and ever, is all the friendships and connections that we make from this project, right? That is invaluable, and that has no price. But the other thing, from a creative perspective, it's really understanding at what point, based on the schedule, based on the commitment that we have for every single day, when pencils are put down, and we have to execute, right?
Sure.
And being able to come in and say, this is good, this is not, let's pivot, let's do this, let's do that.
Right.
That is something that will happen with every creative project,
Right.
every movie. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
like a miracle coming together.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'll take for all other projects.
I love that. I think that ability to be flexible and to pivot is one of the things that I've learned so much, is to just, if you're just present and in the moment, you can pivot really quickly and you can adjust to whatever the director needs or the project needs, right? Like it's all about the project, right?
Especially if everyone is in sync with it.
Right. Okay, how about you? Was there anything that you learned from this project that's going to stick with you?
Sebastian, I learned that I need to stop eating at the craft services table. That would probably be my biggest. So aside from the waistline challenges, which are never going to go away because I love cupcakes, and Oreos too. One of the things that I noted, which was I was at the Hammer Museum, and I was listening to Jerry Bruckheimer he was doing a panel, and this is what I took to the set. He said, we're not doing brain surgery here, so try not to make it too complicated, guys. We're not doing brain surgery. I didn't want a lot of fancy moves, a lot of fancy camera work. I was focusing on the actors. I was focusing on the performances, and I really put my energy into getting the best performance. And when we did takes, it was like 2 takes, 3 takes max. We probably have 3 takes max, and that's because the actors came absolutely ready. Everyone was off book. Everyone memorized their lines. And when I said, you don't need the script, I was like, well, let me check the script. I said, no, I'm the director and the writer. You don't need the script. Just give it to me. Let's see what you got. And whatever it is, it is. Don't cut yourself. Never cut yourself as an actor, because I may like the happy accident. I may like the happy accident. I may like the mistake. It may be fun to see the mistake. So some of the mistakes are in there. Some of the ad libs are in there. Things that were just randomly coming out of people's mouths made it to that film. So that was kind of fun too. So my takeaway is, I'm a very, if there was such a thing, I'm sure somebody's going to say it's a real thing. I'm sure I'm on spectrum, or I'm OCD, or I'm something, right? I am, because I'm so obsessive. I grind away at, I don't know if you noticed the special effects. I don't know if you had a chance, but when you're looking at when she scans his face, it's actually a digital effect where you see through the face. And I said, no, it's too obvious. It's got to be literally, I just want to see a blood vessel. I just literally want to see just the blood vessel appear. And it was working with the animator, they want to make it big. And I said, no, bring it down to 0 and just give me a little hint of something happening with the face. And the same thing happens with the phone. It's a rod of plastic, right? And I said, well, I want to paste some numbers on there. Of course, the temptation is to make it exciting. I said, no, make it boring, old, like an old clock radio. I want it to be LED, just time going by, the digits changing, and the name of the person. That's it. And so the digital artist, accommodated me, and he was like, that's kind of different, but most people want it big and noticeable. And I said, no, I want the actors to be big and noticeable, So my biggest challenge is, having a vision, but also being a good communicator of the plan to whomever is doing the work, right?
That's terrific. One director I worked with, I thought she was fabulous, a writer too, and she said one of the biggest challenges for her as a director, and she had this beautiful word for it, she called it vibe curation, right? Just making sure that everyone there gels with each other and is going to bring their best to it, right? Too. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for doing this. Such a pleasure.